It's live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone. It is such an exciting day today as we are talking about women's health, which is the most important thing in my life. So I thought, why not have a session on women's health over 40? And first of all, I would like to thank Pooja Chilukuri for, she's an expert in women's health. She's a nutritional therapist, and she has done some wonderful session in My World of Wellness. So I'm very excited to have you all today here. And why women's health is important, as I feel we always talk about women empowerment. And for me, the women empowerment means if the woman can take care of her health mentally and physically. If she is healthy, she'll take care of everyone. So today we have a topic on women's health, which will cover hormonal health, her lifestyle and nutrition. So without getting delayed, let's start the session. And I want to welcome our YouTube viewers who are joining us for the first time. So welcome everyone, and stay till the end because I have another surprise. I'll be talking about this body butter which I made it at home. So stick till the end and let's start the session. Okay, Pooja, she can just start and talk
welcome to everyone who's joining us online, and thank you all for being here. So without wasting time, we'll just dive right in. Today, we are going to be talking about hormonal changes, because when we talk about women's health, it's almost impossible to talk about it without addressing this issue, because throughout our lives, even not just puberty, not just when we are menstruating, but throughout our lives, our hormones are constantly shifting and changing, and this creates certain symptoms in our body. So today we will talk about some of those symptoms and how to cope. But before we begin, I just want everybody to know whatever I'm sharing here today, if you are under a physician's care and you're taking any kind of medication, just be sure if you go home and you decide that after this talk today, you're going to change something about your lifestyle, whether it's a food, whether it's a supplement, whatever you do. If you're taking medication, please be aware that lifestyle can actually interfere with medication, meaning that your need for the medication may go down. So suddenly you could be in an overdose situation. So always work with your physician to monitor your dose. So we'll start with the little icebreaker. I just wanted to see how many people can relate with any one of these women.
Just hold on, Pooja. Yeah. Are you all able to hear, or should I give her a mic? You are able to. You're good? Okay. All right. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Welcome, guys. Come. Okay.
Just
have a seat.
Yeah. So, can any one of you relate with any one of these women?
All of them, I think.
Everything, right? So these are some of the very common things that happen as we age, but not only as we age. There is one time in the month that we all might experience some of this. And you know what time that is, right? That's the PMS time, right? So I think that our bodies are amazing because women are experiencing change not just throughout their lifetime, but every month. Every month we are experiencing the hormonal rise and the hormonal dip. So today, what we are going to talk about is a quick overview of what hormones are and the balance of hormones. We're going to talk about two different approaches to how you can cope with some of these changes and these symptoms. We'll talk about hormone replacement therapy and supplements, because those questions always come up when we do this talk. So what are hormones? If I was to ask you, what is something that, what comes to your mind? What are hormones? So this, I want it to be a little interactive. So if you're okay, if you can share. What are they? Is anybody?
There are some things that help
Chemical
us for metabolism.
Yes, absolutely. So they are chemicals, and our body is producing them, right? What are they made of typically? Does anyone know? It's proteins. Yeah, and some fat-based ones are made from cholesterol. So protein and fats. So if you remember that. And then in the bodies, why are they produced? Yes, they help regulate every single body function, but they are always produced in response to a stimulus. So, in the brain, we have the hypothalamus. It's the command center of the body. It's constantly scanning the environment, your external environment as well as your internal environment. So, external environment can be the food that you're eating, it can be the temperature outside, it can be anything. And the internal environment is your blood chemistry, right? If anything is out of balance, how is your blood sugar? How is your blood pressure? So, even when we are sleeping, this body has so much intelligence to monitor all these things. And the hypothalamus is like that military soldier on top of the tower with those binoculars, and it's constantly scanning. And the minute it senses a stimulus that something is off balance, it will command the endocrine system and your nervous system to produce the hormones and the neurotransmitters. And the reason this is important is because these all work together. So whenever we are trying to balance one hormone, we are affecting something else. It's all connected. So it's like an orchestra, right, where everybody's playing their part. But if one part goes off, the whole symphony will sound not proper, not optimized, right? So this axis is important because the hypothalamus will stimulate the pituitary, and then the pituitary gland will stimulate the other glands to make the hormones. Why is this important? Because sometimes when we not have enough of a hormone, it could be that the gland is not making enough, or it could be that the hypothalamus pituitary axis is disrupted. So this is a very short overview, and the hormones that affect women mainly estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, and cortisol, which is linked with stress. It is a very big player, we'll see. Insulin, these all together affect women's health. So we want to make sure that whatever lifestyle and nutrition strategies we use, we want to balance these. So I just want to share this very quickly. As I said, even when we are having our cycle and we are in those childbearing years, the hormones are still changing. They will rise and dip. So the blue line is estrogen, and this yellow one is progesterone. So you'll see that estrogen progesterone balance also has to be there. Not only do we need enough, we also need both of them to be in balance. Without progesterone, estrogen is like a rogue, it'll go crazy. So some symptoms when estrogen is too much in the body, you will experience the PMS, right? Like the breast pain and tenderness. There's bloating, there's weight gain, you get irritable. So it's important to have the progesterone and estrogen in balance. And you notice when we are having the cycle, when estrogen peaks, progesterone is dip, and when progesterone peaks, then estrogen is going down. So throughout the month, we are experiencing this. But what happens for some women, it'll start in the 40s, and for some women, it'll be much later. A lot of times they say you check when your mom was having perimenopause or menopause, because that's likely when you will start experiencing those symptoms as well. So in perimenopause, can you see the difference between this left-hand side and this middle graph? It's like estrogen just went crazy and progesterone followed the crazy path, right? So can you imagine up, down, up, down, up, down? So we'll talk about some symptoms that get caused because of this and how we can deal with them. And then in menopause, all is peace, right? The hormones are finally steadied out. It's like standing on the, I always think of like the ocean, how much turbulence is there when the waves are coming high. And then all of a sudden it's stillness. And usually, if you have not had a cycle for 1 year, if you go to the doctor and have yourself checked, they could either declare it as menopause, or sometimes they will do a test. And something called a follicle stimulating hormone. They might check for that. There are different things they can do to establish whether you have arrived at menopause. So these are the changes we go through. But what is important to remember about menopause? You see, this is showing that it's dipping, right? So here, if these are arbitrary units, say that you were making 150. Actually, we make around 50 to 300 when we are, in the childbearing years. But in menopause, it will go to 50 or a little bit lower. So we see that there is a vast loss, right? So, but all is not lost, because the body, our human body, has mechanisms by which it compensates. So there always is like a backup. I always I marvel at creation. We have 2 eyes, so many things we have extras, right? So many fingers, this, that. Similarly, with your hormones, there is a little backup system, and that is called your adrenal glands. So it's like a relay race, right? If Rashmi and I are running in a relay race, after a while I'll pass the baton to her and now she has to finish the race. When we are approaching menopause, the ovaries will downregulate their production of estrogen and pass the baton to your adrenal glands. Adrenal glands make a hormone which is converted into estrogen. They are good at this, and actually, if all is well, if we are having healthy adrenals, and I'll show you with lifestyle and nutrition, then this transition should not be so shaky and rocky. Remember that graph that was going up and down? If your adrenals are strong to handle it, it won't be that much fluctuation. So this is important to remember, because a lot of women, the symptoms when it comes and we are trying to take the medicine and whatnot, and we start thinking, do I have a disease? It's not a disease. It's a completely natural, we don't call puberty as a disease, right? So menopause is also not. It's absolutely natural, and your body is equipped, but we have to learn to understand our body first of all, pay attention to our body, understand it, and then as fast as we are keeping our adrenals in a good place, and adrenals are linked to stress, I'll talk about it. So when we are having those hormonal fluctuations, these are some of the changes that we start experiencing. They are physical, they are also emotional. And as women, we want to do such a good job of taking care of our families, our jobs, whatever else we are doing. So when we start experiencing these physical symptoms and it keeps us from functioning the quality of life that we desire, not only do the hormones cause the mood changes and the anxiety, we too start feeling very bad about ourselves, right? So we add to the whole problem, because our feelings of self-worth come into play, right? So this is important. And in this slide, I just want you to note these symptoms are common, but if they persist for a very long time, and if they persist even after you have been declared as menopause, it's not a bad idea to get it checked out, especially the night sweats, because could be something going on with heart. Again, women, we tend to neglect so much of ourselves because we're thinking all the time of doing for others. So just be careful with that. So once we are approaching menopause and menopause is finally arrived, and we know that the hormones have dipped, there are some health concerns that we have to start being aware of. Just because we have hit menopause, it does not mean that we will get these problems. No, but what it means is, now that estrogen was protecting us so much from some of these things, we have to be a little bit more aware, and our lifestyle has to be such that we are more aggressive to protect these parts of us. So BBC, you can all remember from the news channel, right? BBC, bone, brain, and cardiac. So always, whatever lifestyle choices you are making, you ask yourself, is it going to help my bone develop, the bone prevent from osteoporosis? How is it going to help my brain? And is it going to help my heart, right? The lifestyle choices. We have some window, right? When we are young, we get away with some bad habits. And while we are having our period, we can get away with some things. But once we hit that menopause, we have to be take extra caution. Skin and hair, believe me, I cry. I see my hair falling every day, right?
That's the most
it's
concern.
so hard, and the hair becomes brittle also, right? So self-care. And then the bladder. Estrogen also has qualities for not only protecting the lining of your bladder, also the muscles and your pelvic area. So a lot of women might experience incontinence where urine is leaking, and so those muscles have to be strengthened. And then weight. This is the number one complaint I have received, and even I find it that it's harder to lose weight once the hormones have started dipping, because the metabolism goes down. So with all this in the background, the next part, I just want to talk about some tools that we can use. And so to make it a little bit easy, I always have this slide in all my presentations. It's not only hormones, this is important for overall health. So if you remember the acronym LEAN, LEAN, lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition. That's one approach. So it's a 2A, wellness strategy. It's just one approach that we can take. And our lifestyle has to do with accumulative habits over every day, right? What kind of habits? So This I want to talk about. Sleep is really, really important. And sleep is something that tends to get disrupted when the hormones are going out of balance, right? And again, your sleep is linked to your circadian rhythm. So, sunshine. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Daylight. A lot of us, if you're working in an office, you are under fluorescent light all day long. And your body needs to know the difference between day and night to establish that rhythm. And sunshine also helps with vitamin D. Again, vitamin D is very important, again, because bone, remember BBC, we want to protect our bones. But when the estrogen starts going down, your skin might become more sensitive to sunburn. So yes, we need sunshine, but also make sure you take your precautions. If you don't want to put sunscreen and all those chemicals, you can just wear a big hat or however you want to, but definitely make time for some daylight and some sunshine. Um, I'll talk about sugar a little bit because this is very important. So let's say that you ate a donut and some coffee with sugar for breakfast, and your kid is screaming, and you're trying to get everybody out of the house, and you're thinking, I have to go to work. That scenario, compare it to when you had a healthy breakfast with a good balance of protein and fat, and the same situation is going on. In the first case, you may feel more irritable and may be more yelling, more upset. And second case, you might be calmer. Because sugar, what it does, it actually stresses your adrenals. It is a stressor. We don't realize it. Even just sitting there drinking sugary beverages without your knowing, your body